Welcome back to the channel, Coolers. Today's video is packed with breaking Barcelona transfer news that's shaking up the football world. From Oriol Romeu's potential exit to Girona, to Fermin Lopez being hunted by Manchester City, and even a €105 million Rodrigo bombshell linked to Liverpool, we've got all the inside info you don't want to miss. Plus, we break down Barcelona's 7-3 destruction of FC Seoul, including standout moments from Christensen, Ferran Torres and Yamal, and what it all means for Hansi Flick's plans going forward. If you love Barca transfer updates, preseason analysis and exclusive inside info, smash that like button, subscribe, and let's dive into the chaos at Camp Nou. With the month of August finally here, Barcelona must now intensify their efforts to reduce the salary bill as they look to register new signings, Joan Garcia and Marcus Rashford. One of the players earmarked for a departure is Oriol Romeu, who is no longer a part of Barcelona's plans after falling behind in the pecking order. Romeu is coming on the back of a season-long loan spell at Girona, who remain interested in acquiring his services on a permanent deal. Girona's conditions to sign Romeu. According to Catalunya Radio, Girona are ready to bring Romeu back to the club this summer, this time in a permanent deal. However, the Catalans are only considering a move for the veteran midfielder if Barcelona hand him a letter of freedom. A letter of freedom would essentially allow Romeu to leave the club for free, even though his contract at Camp Nou doesn't expire until 2026. Another key condition for Girona is that Romeu himself must settle for a lower salary if he is to rejoin the club. After moving to Barcelona 2 years back, Romeu has accustomed himself to a relatively higher salary package. But if he wants to join Girona, he must take a salary cut, as the club from Catalonia are not in a position to afford his current package at Barca. Barcelona, for their part, may consider the letter of freedom, considering the fact that Romeu wouldn't fetch too much in the transfer market anyway, given his age and receding form. Therefore, it will be interesting to see how these two clubs negotiate and finalize the future of the veteran midfielder. Barcelona sporting director Deco is continuing to work hard behind the scenes, to shift two unwanted players off the club's books. That's according to Diario Sport, who point towards Oriol Romeu and Inaki Peña as the pair in question. Both midfielder Romeu and goalkeeper Peña have long been aware that they do not feature in the plans of the Barcelona coaching staff for next season. In the case of the former, as much comes after a loan spell with Girona this past season. Following the arrival of Joan Garcia in Catalunya's capital. Meanwhile, Peña has been pushed all the way down to fourth choice in the pecking order between the posts. Initially, Deco and company were hopeful that cut-price transfers for both players would be sourced this summer. To date, however, no such offers have been forthcoming. Barca's transfer chief therefore stayed put at the Camp Nou upon Hansi Flick's squad departing for Asia last week. This came with Deco determined to exhaust all avenues before sanctioning contract terminations for either Romeu or Peña. Manchester City set sights on Barcelona starlet Fermin Lopez. Manchester City are reportedly planning a bold summer move to sign Fermin Lopez from Barcelona, with a €60 million offer in the works. According to multiple reports, Pep Guardiola is eager to bring in the talented young midfielder, viewing him as a perfect addition to his evolving squad. The 21-year-old Spanish midfielder has caught Guardiola's eye thanks to his intelligent movement, attacking instincts and ability to break into the box from deep, a trademark of many Guardiola-favored midfielders over the years. Despite showing plenty of promise at Camp Nou, Fermin has struggled for regular minutes, facing stiff competition from big names like Pedri, Gavi and Frenkie de Jong. Under both Xavi and now Hansi Flick, his role remains limited, and that's led to speculation over whether he sees his long-term future at Barcelona. With Guardiola known for turning raw potential into world-class talent, a move to the Premier League could offer Fermin the stage he needs to truly shine. A fresh challenge for Fermin Lopez? While Lopez remains proud of his roots at La Masia, the opportunity to play under Guardiola, in a team built around possession and positional excellence, is understood to be highly appealing. Sources close to the player suggest he is open to a move if Barcelona cannot provide him with a clear pathway to regular first-team football. For Manchester City, the interest stems not just from his technical ability, but also his tactical intelligence and versatility, traits that Guardiola values deeply. With a long-term view of transitioning some of the older midfielders out of the side, Lopez is seen as a strategic signing who can develop into a starter within a season or two. Barcelona facing a transfer dilemma. Barcelona's financial struggles are no secret. Although they have high hopes for Lopez's future, a €60 million offer could force their hand, especially if reinforcements are needed elsewhere on the pitch. Losing a homegrown talent is never easy, but the club's current financial state may make such a bid too tempting to reject. Whether or not the deal materializes, Guardiola's admiration has placed Fermin Lopez firmly on the radar of Europe's elite. The next move rests with Barcelona. Will they gamble on Lopez's potential or cash in on an offer that reflects his growing value? Hansi Flick set to elevate Eric Garcia's role at Barcelona. Barcelona boss Hansi Flick is reportedly keen on giving Eric Garcia a more prominent role both on and off the pitch this season. The manager was particularly impressed with how the Spaniard adapted when deployed at right back last season, a position that now seems to suit him well. Heading into the new campaign, Garcia is viewed as Barcelona's second-choice right back, behind Jules Koundé. That was evident in the preseason clash against Vissel Kobe, where both players shared minutes in the role across each half. Unfortunately, the tactical shift seems to have pushed Hector Fort down the pecking order. The La Masia talent is now reportedly seen as transferable, and no longer a priority in Flick's plans for the right flank. However, Fort did get a chance to impress in the recent 7-3 win over FC Seoul. After replacing Garcia in the second half, due to slight discomfort, the young defender made the most of his opportunity and caught Flick's attention with a solid display, as reported by Mundo Deportivo. Despite this, the 17-year-old remains on the transfer radar, with Mallorca among the clubs interested in snapping him up. Despite that, he played at a great level on Thursday night and has no intention of giving up his pursuit of securing a place in the first team. It remains to be seen if Hansi Flick gives the youngster minutes in Tegu as part of Barcelona's final preseason game on tour. The chances appear slim if Garcia recovers, but cannot be ruled out after today's performance. Taking to the field for 45 minutes, the 18-year-old defender completed 100% of his passes, racked up 40 touches and made 5 defensive actions. He blocked 1 shot and lost possession only once on the night. A departure is likely, and Barcelona will see his positive performance to be an aid in improving his market value to potential suitors. After all, the club can use any funds that come from the operation should it go through. Barcelona smash FC Seoul 7-3 in Preseason thriller. Barcelona put on a show in South Korea as they ran riot in a 7-3 win over local side FC Seoul in their second preseason match of the Asia Tour. The game started off with a bang. Within minutes, Robert Lewandowski and Lamine Yamal fired the Catalans into a 2-0 lead, a blistering start from Hansi Flick's men. But the hosts weren't about to roll over. FC Seoul fought back hard, scoring twice to draw level and send shockwaves through the stadium. Just before halftime though, Yamal struck again, restoring Barcelona's lead with a touch of class. The second half, a completely different story. Barcelona came out with renewed intensity and blew the game wide open. Goals from Andreas Christensen, Gavi, and a Ferran Torres brace sealed the rout, turning a tight contest into a demolition job. FC Seoul did manage a consolation goal late on, but by that point, it was too little too late. The scoreline, 7-3 to Barcelona, a statement performance as they gear up for the 2025-26 season. Barca Universal brings you 3 takeaways from FC Seoul 3-7 Barcelona. Fringe team shows more character. As good as Barcelona looked in the opening half with Robert Lewandowski, Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, Pedri and company on the field, the fringe lineup that played after the break significantly outperformed them. With a long and hectic season ahead, labeling players as starters and fringe names may well be unfair, for each member of the squad will prove equally valuable. Yet, every player who played after the break had a case to make, and they did so convincingly. If each half of the game is accounted for individually, the second period ended 4-1 in the Catalans' favor while the first half was a narrow 3-2. To have usual substitutes pull off such a display in preseason, needless to say, is as encouraging as it gets. Andreas Christensen shone in defense with a surprising centre-back partner in Gerard Martin, who looked comfortable in the department. Joffre Torrens made a strong case to see regular minutes at left-back, while Hector Fort also impressed with his movement. Gavi was a standout in midfield and controlled the play with every build-up passing via him for over half an hour. Fermin Lopez put in a performance magnitudes better than his show against Vissel Kobe, and was critical in the playmaking. Rooney Bargi had a more silent game than last time, albeit still impressing with his movement in tight spaces and neat tricks. Ferran Torres scored a brace while Marcus Rashford racked up his first assist as a Barcelona player. Defense needs further testing. As good as the team were scoring 7 goals in 90 minutes, the manager will reflect critically on the 3 goals conceded as he must. It may be preseason, but the defense has not looked convincing after all. Barcelona's high defensive line cost the team heavily in the UEFA Champions League last season, and the manager was expected to bring a new dynamic to the table this term. The first 2 games, however, have seen defenders repeat individual errors. Pau Cubarsí, for all his brilliant ball-playing ability, has looked error-prone in both games so far. At this point, in fact, it's safe to say that Andreas Christensen has been the squad's best player in the position. The Cubarsí-Íñigo partnership in the first game looked shakily decent, but far from convincing. The manager, thus, may well be forced to test out new defensive combinations before the season begins to identify which 2 of his 4 center-backs complement each other the best and bring out the most well-rounded pairing. In good rhythm. The biggest takeaway from Barcelona's performance on Thursday, as a carry forward from the previous game, is that the team looks very sharp for a side still in a second preseason game. So far, Hansi Flick's side have shown great cohesion across the park, a fresh sense of attacking intent and a serious sense of stability through the middle, something one would not expect so early on in the season. The additions of Joan Garcia, Marcus Rashford and Rooney Bargi have all elevated the level of the squad, and all 3 players looked good once more on Thursday to provide the manager an assurance that they can be valuable. There is, thus, a huge sense of optimism heading towards the official start of the season that is just around the corner. Barcelona are in good rhythm, and the win over FC Seoul only reinforced that idea. And that's a wrap on today's explosive Barcelona update. With Oriol Romeu likely out, Rodrigo and Fermin Lopez in the spotlight, and Barcelona's preseason heating up fast, the club's summer is far from over. Hansi Flick has tough decisions ahead, and will be covering it all, every step of the way. What do you think about Rodrigo possibly leaving Real Madrid? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Barca bombshell. #ForcaBarca. Until next time, Visca el Barça.